taking sweet time.
Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
I should open my microphone, shouldn't I? I could blame it on my eye or COVID. Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a really important show for you today because a lot of people know about the importance of magnesium, but there's a lot of confusion about magnesium. Which is the best form? And why? And what does it do? And we're going to get into that here in just a moment with Matt Galant and Wade Lightheart from Bioptimizers. Before we do that, of course, I have to thank my title sponsor, Legendary Foods. Right now, if you go to eatlegendary.com, you can use the code SHR. You'll get 10% off your entire order. Please, if you have not tried the tasty pastry yet, you must. If you loved Pop-Tarts as a kid, you're going to love the tasty pastry as an adult because it has 9 grams of high-quality, high-leucine protein and less than 1 gram of sugar. Non-GMO. It's an amazing product, and buy them for your kids. Don't tell them it's good for them or they won't eat it. But absolutely check them out. Without further delay, I will share the screen now with Matt Galant, who is to my left, and of course Wade Lightheart, who is right beneath the two of us. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Doing great, Carl.
Okay, just want to make sure you can hear me. I got nervous for a second. I had the soundboard drop out in the middle of the show yesterday. So that was a catastrophe. Yesterday's show won't be posted
on today too, so maybe it's a universal thing.
Yeah, you know, because people who do good work, they don't get the right of way in today's environment. So let's talk about magnesium for a second. Magnesium is a nutrient that is very, very important to the body. By the National Institutes of Health's own estimations, magnesium is responsible for a variety of processes that affect muscle, nerve function, blood sugar, and it looks like I'm getting a message here. We are still live. Okay. If anybody lost it, just go back to the podcast. But magnesium is a very, very important mineral. It's an electrolyte. It affects heart function and so on and so forth. And it's spoken about today because they say that most Americans and probably Europeans as well are deficient in magnesium. Who wants to grab this first?
I'll chart. There's a great bigger conversation too as far as deficiencies. So, if we look at levels, and that's why we call ourselves bioptimizers, biological optimization. Yeah, 80-90% are deficient according to the RDA, and in our estimation, almost everybody is not optimal because being deficient. I mean, we can talk about the RDA maybe another day, but if you're
no, let's talk about it just for a second because I don't think people understand what the RDA is. I want to talk about the RDA for something simple like vitamin E. The way they determined the RDA for vitamin E, they took pregnant rodents. See, you're already smiling because you know this. They took pregnant rodents and they deprived them of vitamin E until they reabsorbed the fetus. And then they gave them vitamin E, just the right amount until they didn't reabsorb the fetus any longer. And they said, we'll change that into the human equivalent. And that's the RDA for vitamin E. So the RDA is the minimum you need to survive, not thrive, not be healthy, but just not die. Is that an accurate assessment of what the RDA is?
It is. And if you factor, for example, if you're working out, I mean, you're sweating minerals like crazy, right? I mean, if you're a person that sweats a lot, if you live in a warm environment, and specifically with magnesium, if you're stressed out, all of these things make you lose magnesium. So in terms of getting to an optimal level, and when I can talk about what that feels like, because the cool thing about magnesium, there's a lot of nutrients that there's science that backs it up. But with magnesium, you can actually feel the difference once you get to that optimal level. And Wade's got a great story about this that he experienced a few years ago. So maybe, Wade, you can share that.
Yeah, share it with us, please.
Yeah, so like all serial entrepreneurs, I decided I would bite off more than I could chew, and in conjunction with the two companies that I currently run, I got involved in another one, which the process quickly spiraled out of control, shall I say, and I found myself for about 2+ years working 15 hours a day, not taking any time off. And at a certain point, I start, then I'm, going on what I call nervous system burners, using caffeine and nootropics and all these kind of cool biohacking things that we know, which, we're really was eventually, it's kind of like paying off your mortgage with a credit card. You can do it for a while, but eventually you run into debt. And basically what I did is I just fried my adrenals and my nervous system. And what that felt like is I was burnout. I had a trigger temper. I found emotionally, I didn't have the emotional fortitude I wanted. My mental clarity, memory was my short-term memory was really sketchy. And, just was having a lot of conflict in my life in a lot of different ways. So once I talked to my naturopathic doctor, did a SpectraCell test, which, by the way, is a great way to determine what minerals you're deficient in and that sort of stuff. And they're like, dude, you are, your testosterone axis is bottomed out because of the cortisol, your nervous system's, you got to take some time off or whatever. And I said, well, I can't take time off. I did make some adjustments in my schedule. I said, but I need to up my performance. So I remembered a call from an event I had gone to with the late Charles Poliquin. For those who don't know, Strength Sensei, coached, I think, gold medalists, and I believe it's 27 different sports, not to mention a who's who of pro athletes. And I remember him saying that one of his secret successes is that he used multiple strains of magnesium for handling the incredible stress load that these high performing athletes would do, like literally the world's best Olympic athletes. And we're talking like, it's next level. And I was like, let me go back to my notes. So I went back to my notes, and at that time, Matt and I had, kind of been using magnesium. And so then I was looking at all these different types, and he talked about the different types that worked with the different parts in the body. Some was for your heart, some was for your brain, some was for your muscles. So we went off and started buying all these singular magnesiums and different brands. And then we ended up with this giant counter. And Matt, being kind of like our chief optimizer, I'd say if Matt has a super skill, his ability to take a combination of things and go ahead. He says, okay, we both are talking about this. I'm seeing the positive results, but I would try some magnesiums and I would get the runs really quick. And some magnesiums seemed I have higher tolerance, because we were going through orthomolecular nutrition dosages where you start at a small dose and you just keep dosing up in divided dosages until you get the runs. That's kind of the foundational stuff that Linus Pauling and Hawkins and Hoffer discovered back in the 70s in orthomolecular nutrition. And we apply that principle of going from the minimum doses, going up to the maximum doses, staying at the maximum dosage, and then tapering down. So we started all these different magnesiums. And then Matt came up with the brilliant idea. It's like, hey, let's put all these different magnesiums in one pill and the right ratios that seem to work with our initial testing. And that's when Magnesium Breakthrough was born, and we got that. And within a few months, not only did I be able to kind of recover from the burnout and the emotional side and everything, but I kind of was able to hit a new level in both my meditation, my professional performance. I was able to take more time off, but being more effective when I was doing it. Like my whole nervous system completely regenerated. Now, that wasn't instantly. That took me a period of about 6 months in order for me to completely correct it at a high dosage. And what I mean by that was taking between 3 and 5 grams per day. I went up to 5, and then I just kept tapering down. And now I go between 1.5 and 2 grams a day, depending if it's a fasting day or a non-fasting day.
So I want to talk about magnesium just for a couple seconds. Just hold on just 1 second, because then we're going to go through the list of the different forms of magnesium. So there was a study done with the Pima Indian who were genetically predisposed to be to develop type 2 diabetes in Arizona. They took a group of Pima Indians that were type 2 diabetic. They had a great deal of body fat. They had trouble managing sugar. They were really needed to be on insulin. And they supplemented them with magnesium. I don't know what form, but they spontaneously, their blood sugar levels became manageable. And insulin started being produced again. And it's said that one of the magic things that magnesium does, which is evidence that we don't have enough magnesium in the population, is that it helps to right the blood sugar conundrum. It's like a cofactor that helps insulin. It increases insulin sensitivity so that you don't become insulin resistant. It literally can reverse insulin resistance. Matt, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think, from what you've read and what you've studied, that this could actually be at the basis of the widespread type 2 diabetes epidemic we have in the United States today?
I'm always hesitant to isolate anything to one thing, but for sure it's a huge variable. For sure it's a big factor. Because one of the things that a lot of people don't know about magnesium is the more stressed out you are, the more you excrete. So it's a vicious cycle. And of course, let's just look at 2020. It's probably the most stressful year, baseline that the world's ever gone through. So, but just in general, just the modern lifestyle, sleep deficiency, training, working, going to work, coming back to work, kids, financial stress, all these things basically make you excrete more magnesium. So it's a vicious cycle because the less magnesium you have, the more stressed out you feel. More stressed out you feel, the more magnesium you excrete. And then I think that, yes, a lot of other issues such as insulin sensitivity can easily follow once you start bottoming out on magnesium. Because magnesium, the challenge too with magnesium as far as blood tests is it's not reliable because it goes into the tissues.
Right.
And if you look at different types of magnesiums, this is why we use 7 different types. They go to different parts of the body. Some tend to go to the muscles. Some are more heart related. Some actually help the nervous system. Some help the brain. So you really need a blend to hit all the notes in the symphony, as we say.
Just to add to that, as far as some people like to get into the science of that particular point, because I find it pretty fascinating. Usually magnesium works with your enzymatic levels, and particularly in phosphorylation on the kinase receptor. That's where the insulin receptor kinase. And so what happens, you need to get the magnesium, it seems to be intracellularly. And I believe in reference to the studies that you were talking about, or that I've seen, taurate and bisglycinate seem to be the ones that have been used most common in regards to blood sugar components, as well as complications from macular vascularization, degeneration, those complications from diabetes, which happen. So there's some relationship between magnesium kinase. And that's why I mentioned the SpectraCell test. And the SpectraCell test, they spin your blood and they can test not only like what you're missing, but how well your particular body uptakes those particular vitamins and minerals. And then you can do that. You can do a supplement, do a test 6 months later, and then you can kind of get your data specifically for you, working with your professional.
Now, there's another thing that seems to affect or is affected by magnesium levels, and this could have something to do with the insulin resistance, quite frankly. But a lot of people who are low in magnesium develop tinnitus, or ringing in their ears. And as soon as they get magnesium reestablished in their body, this tinnitus goes away. In fact, there are quote unquote tinnitus supplements. And when you look at them, they're magnesium and a couple other things. What's the relationship between magnesium and ringing in the ears? Is it a vascular issue or is it a nerve issue?
I haven't researched tinnitus enough to know, but we do know that magnesium does impact both the arterial system as well as the brain in general. So, different depending which type of magnesium. So it could be, and we've had incredible testimonials from magnesium breakthrough on migraines, for example. So we know that it can certainly help with that. And if you get into the research as far as heart and heart health, it's one of the most powerful supplements you can take. So I haven't researched tinnitus enough to comment specifically to that. But if I was to cook up a theory, probably has to do with the blood vessels.
Yeah. Do you know what they used to call a migraine in the 1920s? A hypoglycemic headache. A hypoglycemic headache, because they knew that when people developed migraines, if they were given sugar, the migraine quickly resolved itself. And they determined, so we fast forward to, and we look at the things like the ketogenic diet. We know that the ketogenic diet plays a role. Well, a lot of things that reestablish insulin sensitivity make migraines go away. Interesting. So there's your linkage to so let's talk about the different forms of magnesium, right? There's so many different forms, and these are all naturally occurring. We'll go right through the list real quick, right? So the first one we want to talk about, is magnesium chelate or chelate. How do you pronounce it, Matt? I always pronounce it chelate. I'm not an educated man.
Chelate, yeah.
Okay. What is the magnesium chelate important for?
Well, going back to when I was in university and obsessed with the bodybuilding and stuff, I mean, they used to talk a lot about magnesium for training. It's a very popular supplement in general with strength athletes. And that's one of the big things it helps with. It does help with muscle building and recovery. And a lot of people do see, especially when you're deficient, they'll see a boost in strength, maybe 10%. I know that when I went from deficient to optimal, I did see a couple more reps per set. I would just say general across the board. So it does help quite a bit in the gym.
Okay. Chelate particularly is with neurotransmitter formation. That's what a lot of the research has kind of defined it. And I think that's where you're getting a lot of times when you fatigue and exercise, it's because you just don't have the neurotransmitter regeneration to fire quickly. And also, of course, magnesium overall is the relaxation phase of the muscles, the reverse aspect of the contraction, which is also the antagonistic muscle. If you're training, has to relax. So,
yeah, that's where the strength gains come. The antagonistic muscles can elongate easier because it turns off that calcium channel.
Exactly.
Yes. That's one that people just don't get. The heart is another one. Everybody thinks that when the heart is contracting, it's working, and when it's expanding, it's relaxing. No, it's still working. It's just working in a different direction. And in order for your heart to pump properly, magnesium has to inhibit the ones that were contracting earlier to let the ones that want to contract in the other direction to do their job. So, and that's probably one of the, besides vascular relaxation, another one, we're talking about smooth muscle relaxation. Big player is magnesium. What about magnesium citrate? This is a very popular one in supplements today. Who wants to take that one?
Sure, I can.
Go ahead, Wade.
So citrate, which is interesting, this is the one that seems to draw the most water into the intestinal tract. So for people who are suffering from poor inability to defecate properly or do your number twos, I think that's a big thing. Is oftentimes there's drying inside the colon that causes issue, and this magnesium citrate draws more in, and it's the one that is most concordant with people who get the runs. So if you're and the other thing is it's also with peristaltic contraction with smooth muscle tissue, and I think it's a combination of those things. So just in my own research, when I upped magnesium citrate, that was the product that I would get the runs on, about 1.5 grams. That's it. That's all I could tolerate. So it's good to have a little bit of, I think it's beneficial to have a little bit of citrate, or if you're looking specifically for that area, just go all in on citrate till you got to flush the system. But the problem is over time, you can run into other issues. But that's where citrate's the best. We just put a little bit of it in ours because
what are those other? What are those other issues? Because I know people who use magnesium citrate drinks once or twice a year as a cleanse.
Yes.
Too much is no good, huh?
Well, anytime that you kind of accelerate the drawing of water into the intestinal tract, you got to be conscientious of two things. Number one, electrolytes that you're taking in because you're going to dump a lot of minerals is on that, and the other thing is dehydration. So I think if you look at the interstitial water scan, the electrointerstitial water scan, you can actually check for people who want to do the testing. You can go in there and it'll actually show the hydration levels of the different organs. I think Dr. Carmichael out of Colorado did a lot of research with athletes and stuff. And anytime that you do anything that causes, you to dump a lot of water, either through exercise, sweating, or rectally through flushing in a cleanse type thing, you need to be very conscientious about that. And the other thing is it's good to know what your predisposition for losing minerals is, because in one of those cases, that's the negative side of like, cleansings. But if someone's kind of sophisticated in their process, they shouldn't have any problem. And it's a great product to use that for.
There's another key thing too that I want to get into, and it's a really important concept that you already addressed a little bit, and that's the relationship between calcium and magnesium. And one of the biggest health issues in general, and one of the things that kills people the most, is just overcalcification, whether it's, heart disease, all kinds of things, right? And what we've believe is that the magnesium, and Way's got a great story when he was in Bali, and I've experienced it as well. I can share that. But we believe that the magnesium can help balance out the calcification in the body. And I think, one of the benefits of citrate, for an example, is the arterial stiffness. It does help with that. It's been shown clinically to do that. And I'll just share my story, and Wade could share his. I was doing some extensive brain training, and we were doing IVs, and I asked, load up the mag. So she loaded the mag and injected me with it a few days. And it was really interesting. You would feel a very warm sensation in the parts of the body that tend to calcify the most, including the genitals, which actually felt pretty good. But Wade's got a great story too. Wade was in Bali doing a similar protocol.
Yeah. So once I recognized that I was, and I went on I would call it the quest for the optimal magnesium and experimented with all these different types, I contracted a naturopathic doctor who was actually had a special forces background and had experience of using magnesium to help guys deal with the stress of PTSD. And he's like, yeah, I bring the guys in and we do a lot of magnesium through intravenous loading. And so we would go for these sessions, and you start out with a very small amount, 3 grams, 4 grams, 5 grams. And then we kind of worked our way up to 20 grams. That's kind of in a magnesium sulfate solution and please don't randomly do this stuff. Like, you need to have a professional. You can really mess yourself up on that. And there's a variance in tolerance. But as we took it up over that 10-gram zone, what would happen is I would actually get burning sensations where I had old injuries, where calcium deposits like in the shoulders from, bench pressing and stuff as crazy when I was younger. Also, I would feel burning sensations right in my brain where I probably had some calcium deposit. You could actually feel it. And each session that I would do, I would get burning in different areas of the body. And I felt, for people who don't know, it's about a 2-to-1 ratio of calcium to magnesium. And when you don't have enough magnesium, what happens is you will start dumping calcium, which contributes to osteoporosis. But when you start pumping a lot of magnesium into the system, your uptake of calcium will start to change. So it was literally burning out the calcium components in one part of the tissue to redistribute it somewhere else.
That's fascinating. That really is. And for those of you listening thinking, wait a minute, 10 grams of magnesium, isn't that harmful to your kidneys? Exactly the opposite. So depriving yourself of minerals causes the kidneys to work harder to create a blockade to keep too many minerals from exiting the body so that you don't end up with electrolyte imbalances. But when you have a lot, in fact, people find this fascinating. Do you know what the simplest way to keep chronic kidney disease from progressing it's sodium chloride or sodium bicarbonate every day. Now that's counterintuitive. You think, wait a minute, your kidneys are failing. Why would you want more sodium? Because the kidneys work hardest when you deprive your body of minerals. When they've got a lot of minerals, your kidneys go, oh man, we got so much coming in. Just let it all go out in the urine. Don't worry about it. We don't have to work. Just open the floodgates. So a lot of people will hear this and think, well, dude, that sounds crazy. You destroy your kidney. No, you destroy your kidneys by not getting enough calcium, sodium, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, and the list goes on, bicarbonate and so on and so forth. Let's hit this one, and then we'll take our first break. The next one is magnesium bisglycinate. Now, I know magnesium glycinate. Is this the same thing, or what's the bisglycinate form?
It's essentially the same thing, and it's a really, really good one for sleep. So magnesium is involved in the creation of serotonin, and serotonin is critical for melatonin. So what I do, and we probably had more testimonials and positive reviews on sleep improvement for magnesium breakthrough than anything else. You take 3 caps, 60 to 90 minutes before you want to feel tired. It just kicks everything in.
I take it before bed. Bed. Yeah.
And again, ideally about an hour or 90 minutes before, so that you get a little bit of serotonin production, which then will get the melatonin production primed. So timing wise, that's about ideal, but it's great for sleep and also seems to help with stomach acid in general. So it could maybe, I don't know the exact mechanism, but it's probably helping the body produce more hydrochloric acid.
Interesting. Interestingly enough, I did a show recently. I discovered something that gets rid of GERD. And it's called a prokinetic agent. So you mentioned peristalsis a moment ago and the importance of magnesium in the process of peristalsis. Well, a lot of people who suffer from GERD actually are suffering from GERD secondarily to poor digestive motility. The food is just languishing in the gut, and it's creating gas, and it's blowing the esophageal sphincter open, and acid's coming up. And so the reality is to re-stimulate peristalsis. And so I had a guy who literally was like, he was going to die someday. He was vomiting up 2 to 3 hours after every meal. And I said, take 100 micrograms of GHRP6, which is a well-known a prokinetic agent. It also stimulates some hunger. If you take too much, it stimulates hunger. And he messaged me that day. He said, I just held down my first breakfast in weeks. And then he's been doing it. And I actually had him on the show. His name is Joe Cristiano. And he said, I can't believe it. I'm eating and I'm not vomiting after every meal. Well, the reason I tell that whole long drawn out story is that magnesium seems to play a role in the ability for peristalsis to take effect, which means it's going to affect digestive motility. That may be why people who use it go, my GERD went away. It may not be from the buffering effect of the magnesium, but instead the stimulatory effect as a prokinetic agent. Think about that. What do you think?
It's a good theory. I like it.
Yeah, I think there's 3 areas particularly. That's one of the areas in motility, and sometimes that's also related to people that may have hiatal hernias that are pushing up on the stomach. Like, so the food's actually pushing up into the lung cavity and creating issues. That's the other areas, which is the same thing. It's, in other words, the food's not going through the intestinal tract properly, or it's the contraction stuff. And the other thing is low hydrochloric acid. So those 3 things are usually, if you address all of those in conjunction, chances are you're going to be able to resolve your acid reflux issue.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got more types of magnesium we're going to cover. And I'll also tell you how you can get magnesium breakthrough at a super, almost 40% off. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 2 free 10-ounce New York strips when you purchase $50 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. We're talking today with Matt Galant and Wade Lightheart from BuyOptimizers.com. We're talking about their magnesium product called Magnesium Breakthrough. You can get it by going to the website magbreakthrough.com/SHR. Use code SHR10 and you can save up to 32% off. And they give a 1 year, 365-day money-back guarantee. If you're not completely satisfied, send what you didn't use back. It doesn't get any better than that. Few people today in the supplement industry stand behind your satisfaction in their products. They're very happy to get that one sale. And if you go away pissed off, it's okay. We got that money. But these guys don't do that because they're in it to help people. By the way, stay tuned later in the show at the top of the hour. I'm going to talk about, this is Critical Thinking 101. I've been doing more and more of this. I want people to be critical thinkers. An unintended benefit of weightlifting that helps you age better. It's nothing that you've ever thought about, I promise you. So stay tuned for later in the show about that. So the next one we want to talk about is magnesium taurate. And we actually have a listener, a viewer in the audience that posted this a little bit earlier. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, magnesium taurate. I can't see his name because the security settings of your account will not pass through to our platform. So if you want to post your name, I'll put that up too. Magnesium taurate has been a game changer for me. I was having AFib issues. Everybody in the country has AFib issues today. Could it be magnesium? Who knows? Had to get an ablation. Started adding mag taurate into my diet along with potassium, and it helped a ton. Talk about magnesium taurate, guys.
Yeah, so magnesium taurate is the one that's probably the most researched, or one of the most researched around cognitive function. So the taurate kind of works very similar to taurine, which activates GABA. It's which is gamma aminobutyric acid, and that's an impulse that blocks, like it's a neurotransmitter that blocks the impulses between nerve cells. So one of the things that I used to do is I used to go to this place in Vancouver where I would drink various types of rare teas from all around the world. This guy had a great expert. And one of my favorites was the GABA tea. And the GABA tea kind of creates this kind of calm, euphoric center. And of course, with all our dopamine-driven activities today with blue light and things like that, it's demonstrated that taurate can really help with brain-derived neurotrophic factor, as well as stimulate, basically that's stimulating growth in the hippocampus. It also seems to be great in migraines, neurodegenerative disorders. So this one to me was the one that I think when I took it, I also noticed a bump up with memory because when I went through my challenge, I was losing my short-term memory. So that in combination with lion's mane was the two things that I felt had the most impact on memory. And I do believe it's because of this neurotransmitter formation. The ironic thing is, too, we get a lot of testimonials on this one. And the research says that for people that have PMS, so obviously I don't have PMS, but we have a lot of female testimonials coming in about the reduction of the challenges with PMS. So oftentimes that's a magnesium issue. And in the research, they used magnesium taurate for that.
Matt, you want to add anything to that?
No, that was pretty thorough.
Okay. So the next one in the list is magnesium malate. Why is this one important?
Well, one of the, when I was formulating this product, I read, I think 130 research papers, and I think probably surprised. I knew a lot of the benefits of mag before I dove into the weeds, but the thing I was surprised to learn was the research around depression. There was a lot of research that showed that it was as effective as antidepressants for depression. And we're not making any claims. It's just what the research showed. So this is one of the magnesiums has been shown to help with that quite a bit, as well as chronic pain and, again, specifically migraines in the research. So when we were getting these testimonials as far as removing migraines, this is probably the key magnesium that's helping with that. Interesting.
Wade, you have anything to? Wade, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think he's got that one covered. So I do know that the enzyme, like this is the one also too. Magnesium is a control with all the different enzyme formulations in the body. It's about over 300 different enzymatic relationships that require magnesium. And so, of course, everybody knows this as one of the top enzyme companies. And so it's another way to enhance those enzymatic transactions in your body, which are essentially catalytic, converting one thing to other thing, something else, or speeding up those conversions.
So Jeff Clifton says, I love Mag Breakthrough. I just ordered 3 bottles through SHR. I'm curious as to why magnesium oxide is included. I've read something about poor absorption. I've heard the same thing, that magnesium oxide is a inferior form. Why is it in there?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons. And again, we formulated it to minimize the flushing. So oxide is one of those ones that you can take and use for flushing effects. So that's the main reasons. We wanted something that people could go at a high dose and not get disaster pants.
So this one I'm very familiar with. In fact, I've experimented with magnesium L-threonate and microdosed LSD. Taking a magnesium L-threonate along with microdosing amplifies the effect dramatically. I was able to cut my microdose in half when I took it with L-threonate. I found that fascinating. This is the new kid on the block, isn't it? This is the one that everybody loves because it's supposed to improve short-term memory and have all these nootropic effects, right?
Yes, that's correct. And there's different types of threonate out there as well. So there's the kind of research is adapting and changing all the time. And we're actually working on kind of the newest version of all of that, which is involved, so there's some potentials with some lipids and things like that. So it's a fascinating part, but that definitely it's one of the more unique or interesting components of the product family.
Dr. Chad Decker says he uses it for sleep. That's counterintuitive. I would think that's something that improves memory, has maybe more of an energizing effect to the brain. And is it good for sleep, Matt?
I think all magnesiums are good for sleep. I mean, magnesium, it calms the nervous system. There's a story I didn't share earlier that's a lighter version of Wade's. I got to the point, again, due to magnesium deficiency and stress, where I literally couldn't drink coffee. I would drink a cup of coffee and almost instantly feel horrible. I mean, I just used the adjective frazzle to describe it. I just felt my nervous system was extremely agitated. And by the way, just really interesting research on magnesium and the myelin sheet. In my opinion, this is just a theory, but when your myelin sheet gets raw, that's that frazzle state. You go right into fight or flight. It just becomes your default mode. So anyways, I couldn't drink coffee anymore. Heard the Poliquin protocol. Then I heard Mercola talk about using magnesium to help fight EMF issues because the EMF opens up the calcium channels. And then I had another guy who is called very deep down the spiritual rabbit hole. And when you have a lot of gamma brainwaves, for an example, it utilizes a tremendous amount of magnesium in our opinion, because you're really activating the nervous system at a very intense level. Anyways, long story short, when I started loading up on the magnesium, after about 30, 45 days, I felt normal again. And I've been able to drink coffee, no problem, since I've been using the proper dose at an optimal level. So yeah, it's really an interesting facet of magnesium. I just think it just calms the nervous system down in general, including L-threonate, which I've mega dosed, especially during brain training, because it does help with neurogenesis, neuroplasticity. So I've never had an issue with sleep. It's always helped.
So, and Jeff Clifton pointed out that it seems to increase BDNF, and anything that increases BDNF is good because it keeps your brain plastic. It keeps your brain growing instead of shrinking. And there's a lot of things exercise increases BDNF, and those are all good things. And then the last one in the list is one that I'm not familiar with, and that is magnesium orotate. Why this one? What's its contribution to this mix?
Yeah, well, magnesium orotate is seems to be uptaken better than some other magnesiums. So again, it's got all kind of the regular components of vasomotor tolerant, blood pressure, immune system, bone integrity, blood glucose, all that sort of stuff. So this is kind of one of the ones that are seemingly being able to be uptake better than other magnesiums for some people who may have challenges. And going back again, this is, I really encourage people to use that SpectraCell test to determine how well you actually absorb and utilize the various minerals that you take. But that's the biggest combination. And again, it just seems to be universally beneficial with the research, because now a lot of guys on the research are using this particular magnesium.
So
I've
all
gone
of
pretty
these
deep.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just want to talk about just the different types and for all types of minerals. I'm kind of one of the main guys doing the research, and everything seems to indicate that orotate just gets utilized better on a cellular level. So for example, I just recently switched my zinc to an orotate version, and I definitely experiencing effects and I've been using zinc for years, but I definitely experienced some positive benefits that I've never experienced with zincs before, specifically around erection quality, for example. So I just think the orotates in general, I'm just bullish. We're extremely bullish on the orotates. But a couple of notes too. Yeah, we combined the 7 mags, but we didn't stop there. We've added the cofactors, which help absorption even more. And we didn't stop there. We work with one of the preeminent monoatomic experts in the world. He's been in that world for a long, long time. For those of you that don't know monoatomics, they are kind of single cell elements, including silver, platinum, gold, that the body can absorb. So again, we're not taking jewelry and melting it down or powdering it up. These are very specific types of minerals. And we've tested with or without, and the monoatomics help, and it does produce a different effect. You feel the difference. And it makes sense because, again, in the body, everything works as a symphony. When you have the cofactors involved in any metabolic function, it's going to work better. A lot of times, things fall apart in the body because you don't have all the cofactors. So Way's also been a huge fan of monoatomics for a long time. So maybe you can add a couple notes on that.
Yeah. So basically, for people who don't know, we use a humic fulvic acid, which is an extract of plant matter that's kind of condensed into a shale tissue, but hasn't lost its organic properties. And so we're generally designed to absorb minerals through either consuming plants that have the minerals or animals that have the minerals. And with humic fulvic, maintaining that kind of organic matter that was laid down a long time ago, as well as not using a chemical extraction process in order to get that. A lot of humic fulvics will use chemical extraction. So this allows us to deliver the kind of the full spectrum of trace minerals. There's about 84 different trace minerals, which there's no known RDA components for that. It's kind of an omitted part, which is one of my pet peeves around our description of food nowadays and what we require. And if these elements are in the body, they're doing something, even if we might not be a known awareness. But like Matt says, when you take it with versus not, you can feel the difference. And so therefore, I always want to, as much as research heavy as you want to be, I always default back to being alert and attuned to your biofeedback when you take anything, because I think our own observational components are awesome, and correlating that with data testing points that you do makes it even better.
I want to mention at this moment, because we're talking about some of these other cofactors, there's nothing synthetic in this product at all. No additives, no preservatives. You should take it on an empty stomach, correct?
Yeah, you can take it either or, because when I do a lot of fasting, we'll take magnesium fasting. It absorbs well with food. So either way, it works. And by the way, just a quick note on the filter too. So it's a little behind the scenes story. Our manufacturer, the person that kind of puts this together, called us and said, we'd like to use a filter, and because it's slowing down the process and blah blah blah. And it's like we just refuse to use filters. We don't care what we have to do to make it work. We just we're not going to do that. So little story there.
Cool. And so for those listening to the show, magbreakthrough.com/SHR, code SHR10 will get you up to 32% off and a 365-day money-back guarantee. We have a question from someone, I believe, that's in Europe. Christine Fox says, What about magnesium glycerophosphate, Givomag, used in Europe? I've been using a powder form of this almost a year. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'll
Is this
research it as soon
is
as we
this a
hang up.
naturally well? And so, is this a naturally occurring? Because I know all of the forms that you've used are naturally occurring, which is going to lead me to my last question, and then we're going to take a break, and then I have some selfish things I want to ask you. Well, these are all naturally occurring. Why can't I just get them all from food?
Great question, and I'll cue up Wade here because it has to do with farming, and he's got a great story on that.
So I have this, I'm on a mission to redefine our definition of food because if you look at the food production and distribution model that we've adapted over the last 100 and particularly accelerated since World War II, we've changed the composition of our soil. We've added a whole host of herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides, genetic modification. We've dropped protein content in food, by anywhere from 70 to 80%, which drops enzyme levels, which these are critical in absorbing minerals out of the soil. And so in North America, particularly, we're extremely deficient. In fact, I had a biodynamic organic farmer who has a place out in New Jersey on my podcast not that long ago. And she was talking about that right now, all of the nutritional scientists feel that they've got about 60 more seasons left before there's nothing left in the soil. And so she's on a mission to kind of reconstitute the soil and teach farmers. But unfortunately, most of the food that we get is these giant commercial products, which are just using a variety of chemicals to accelerate it. And even if they're on an organic farm, if they're not conscientiously redeploying, reconditioning the soil to get that mineral content, it's almost impossible. So the chances that you are getting, the polyphenols, the vitamins, the minerals, the naturally occurring components in your food that you're getting, not to mention the loss and shelf life and transportation, etc., is pretty much zero. And that's if you're eating the perfect diet. And I'm one of those guys.
And a lot of it. Most of us are intermittent fasting, and we're having 2 meals a day. There's no way you're going to get all the magnesium and potassium and everything else that you need to get.
Yeah. And again, go back. I mean, if anybody wants to challenge us, all they need to do is go do a Spectre cell test. You do that, you're going to get a clear uptake about just how deficient you are on the RDA level, not even talking optimization. And so I hope that we redefine what food is, and I hope that we get more and more information to farmers about how to recondition our products, our crops, and everything, because it's a massive issue that I think is depleting the population on levels that we can't imagine. Just to give you an example, in the early 1900s, they added iodine to the food supply because they realized there was a deficiency across North America. And there was a development of goiter, which is a kind of a condition without iodine. Well, here was the unexpected benefit. When they added iodine to the diet, they seen an overall average IQ increase by 15 points across the board. Just sit with that for a second. And we think of when we kind of see people kind of going around in this kind of zombie phase, or not seeing what's going on, or having trouble concentrating, or brain fog, or cognitive things, or being able to focus or manage their emotions. I think all of this stems from just bad nutrition and bad food products, even if you're spending a ton of money on the best organics that you can. I mean, I think it's become so prevalent that we think it's normal.
And on that note, tangentially, iodine or iodide is a halogen, like bromide, which they use in bread that displaces iodine. But more importantly, fluoride, which they fluoridate water. And there's been a direct correlation to municipalities that have fluoridated water and a drop in IQ in children. So, I mean, we just think we're so much smarter than nature that we can just eat crap, sleep like crap, not move, and we'll be fine. I mean, it's just, it's insanity today. Christine Fox talks about biodynamic agriculture. We're going to take a break. And Jeff Clifton, stay with me because your question is kind of my question too. We'll be right back. For those of you listening, if you want to take advantage of an amazing offer and start using a magnesium product that will actually help you. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR, use code SHR10, pick one of the packages and save up to 32% off. It's a great product. I use it every night with 3 grams of glycine and a baby aspirin, and then my peptide injection that I put together before sleep. And I definitely noticed a change in my sleep when I started using it. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers. Hey, this is Carl. For 14 years, you've heard me talk about Can-C eye drops, and they being the reason that I do not need reading glasses at now 61 years old. But I regularly get emails and messages from people who've been using Can-C and having some amazing results. Recently, I got an email from a fella named Chad, who, because he was on dexamethasone eye drops for over 6 months, developed a cataract. Can-C eye drops actually reduced my cataract to the point where even my doctor has a hard time finding it. I will never stop using Can-C eye drops twice a day. I've been using them since 2008, he says. And you should be too. There is no better way to keep your eyes healthy and seeing clearly than Can-C eye drops. Go to wisechoicemedicine.com today and get on board, and we will both be looking into the future with very clear vision. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Planet Earth CBD offers a fast-acting transdermal patch that targets your aches and pains for the relief you need. Not only is the patch uniquely patented, but it is widely believed to provide larger quantities of available cannabinoids to the source of pain than other brands' subpar products. Effective for 24 to 48 hours. Experience the benefits of Planet Earth's high-quality transdermal patch. Manufactured by Next Generation Technology in an FDA-registered facility. This pressure-sensitive adhesive delivers rich hemp extract directly through the skin. Be it a neck ache or a headache, you can count on CBD to take off the edge. Go to planetearthcbd.com today to learn more.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Okay, we have a couple questions. What happened? There you go. Thought we lost Wade. Let's answer this question first before we get on to the wrap up here. So Brian Cunningham, in summary, says, is there really that much difference in magnesiums? Perhaps Mag 3 and 8 has shown better for some issues because it's the only one that was studied for those issues. What do you think?
Well, again, when I dove into the research, specific mags are showing specific benefits. So to me, it's just simple induction, deduction. It's the patterns there. So yeah, and we know it goes to different tissues. So again, I mean, everybody's free to look at the research and make their own conclusions, but everything seems to indicate that that's the case.
Well,
and things like L3 or innate, we know that specifically the brain, that's a completely different type of mag producing a completely different type of effect.
And we also know that these are all naturally occurring, which means we evolved under their influence. And then taking just magnesium, this form of magnesium only, is counter to what we evolved. Access to all of these and abundance of all of these would seem to be prudent, regardless, just because, like I said, we've evolved under the influence of all of them.
Yeah. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, I think also Charles Poliquin, who I think was the breakthrough innovator in regard to this. And for those who don't know who Charles was, he used to study other languages because he found that there were kind of cultural biases in how people researched, as well as also the availability of different nutritional products. And he was one of the first people to turn us on to the idea of the different magnesiums uptaken by different parts of the body. And that was one of his secret sauces.
Yeah, we lost Wade. We had some connectivity problems there.
But yeah, just to wrap up what he was saying. I mean, Poliquin really kind of started us on this journey, and then we continue researching other mags like orotate and so on, and just built a better mousetrap.
So let's do this. Let's answer this question, which is going to lead me to my selfish question. He says, Jeff Clifton says, I'm only taking 2 caps, one twice a day, spread out with meals. Should I keep bumping it up until disaster pants happen?
Go ahead, Wade.
Yeah, that's typically, you go back to the orthomolecular models of nutrition. That is what they call breaking the GI barrier. So what I do is divide dosages up throughout the day as opposed to taking one shot. So what the process that I think is prudent, you start at 0.5 gram, say over 3 divided dosages in a day for 1.5. That's usually pretty tolerable by people, especially in divided dosages. And then you add 1 gram, 1 gram per day. So maybe you'll take an extra cap, like say if you're doing 2 caps in the morning, 2 caps in the afternoon, 2 caps in the evening, take an extra cap in the morning and an extra cap in the afternoon. The next day, if you didn't get tolerance, you would add, maybe 2 caps in the morning, 1 cap that stay with the same dosage in the second one, and then add to the 3 caps in the afternoon. And so just keep going up by 0.5 gram to 1 gram a day. When you hit tolerance, you then titrate down to 0.5 gram to 1 gram below that. Now, what's interesting, when you continue on with that dosage, generally over time, what'll happen is you'll be able to bring it back down again in order to, when you hit tolerance again. So for example, with vitamin C is another example of most research around, people will go up to maybe 10, 15, 20 grams. And then as they stay at that kind of high dosage, over time, that high dosage will begin to drop down and down as your body builds up your supplies. We actually explain this in our course, in the 12 weeks to double your energy course, and I call it the bucket theory of nutrition. And of course, you can ratchet it up or ratchet it down based on your burn rate of lifestyle.
Well, you actually just answered my question. So let's say I am in fact magnesium deficient, even though I'm taking some magnesium, but I very high stress lifestyle. I sweat a lot. Should I start out with like 3 caps 3 times a day and slowly just go up from there until I feel some GI distress?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like the 2 caps 3 times a day to start with, because that's about 1.5 grams, and that's usually tolerable. 3 caps sometimes too much for some people, depending on how but just go 2, 2, 2, and then add a cap as you increase up, and then just monitor for an individual, because it's going to vary significantly from individual to individual.
Yeah,
and it's back to how well a person uptakes and how deficient they are.
So
just to
if this
jump
is
into,
yes, please. I'm sorry.
I'll just wrap up with this, which is experientially what I experienced as I really loaded my body over 60 days on the mag. I literally hit a point where I was just calm like I've never been before. Not like, okay, I meditated, now I'm calm. It was just baseline. So I thought that was a really good sign. Again, it goes back to the nervous system. And we're big believers in managing your nervous system, because again, most of us are doing a lot of sympathetic activities, and the magnesium has just been incredible to counterbalance the intensity of life, the stresses, the exercise, all of that stuff. So that is one thing to look at, just how calm is your baseline. And I think once you're saturated, you'll feel pretty calm. So it's one thing to look out for.
So the product is called Magnesium Breakthrough. If you go to the website magbreakthrough.com/SHR, use code SHR10, you can save up to 32% off. And it has a 365-day money-back guarantee. If you don't like it, send it back. And the reality is that this is not necessarily a sexy supplement. It's not like an Andro or something like that. But the reality is that it will affect you. It'll affect your performance, your recovery, your sleep, your overall health, your nervous system, which you cannot see while it's eroding inside of you. And we know, I mean, the information is coming from so many different points now that people are very, very deficient in magnesium. Way too much sodium, way too much calcium, not enough potassium, and not enough magnesium. And it's leading to a lot of problems in today's society. Guys, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. It's fascinating. I love the product. I take it before bed every night. It definitely it helps my sleep. There's no doubt in my mind. When I started taking it, I started to see deeper, longer periods of deep sleep at the beginning of the night. And it makes me sleepy when I take it. I literally, like, after I take it, about 20 minutes later, I start to feel like, okay, I'm ready to go to sleep. And I turn the book off or the light off or whatever, and I just roll over and I go to sleep, and I sleep well now. So I want to thank you for that. And thanks for being big supporters of the show also.
Great being here. Thanks, Carl.
Okay, guys, you have a good
Pleasure,
weekend. We're
Carl,
going to
thanks.
Thank you, Wade. We're going to take our last commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to try to provoke you into thinking about something that you haven't thought about, that you're gaining from your resistance and weight training, that's actually going to improve your ability to age. And we're going to talk about allostatic load when we come back. Stay tuned. You're listening to Superhuman Radio. Are you still on the fence about body protection complex BPC oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus lifting company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do those with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today.
Men and women, you've heard about hormone optimization. Do you feel like it's something you want to look into? RenewLifeRx.com is the place to start. Their doctors can help you with the solutions. RenewLifeRx.com has a simple process for lab work, consultation, and taking a deep dive into where your hormone levels can be improved. Superhuman Radio listeners get 30% off your initial lab work and consultation. Go to renewliferx.com to schedule your no-obligation phone consultation today. Feel younger, get in better shape, and be more productive at renewliferx.com. New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Imagine if you had a digital twin, one that you could compare your own health and fitness outcomes to, one that showed you whether or not the things you're doing, food you're eating, or drinks you're drinking are actually working for you or against you. Well, now you can. The first ever advanced epigenetic saliva test that compares 20 million different data points of your DNA to help predict what is aging you faster or keeping you younger is being introduced to my audience at a 70% discount from the normal price. Go to seeds.md/epigenetic-test today to learn how to get your own digital twin that will help you take the steps to live longer and stay stronger. Don't wait, because this is a limited time offer not available anywhere else. Once these tests are gone, they're gone. Again, go to seeds.md/epigenetic-test today to learn more. You've heard about blood flow restriction training since 2006 on SHR, but you're still on the fence. Well, here's the push. BFR is more effective at building muscle than anabolic steroids. That's right, I went there, but it's because it's the truth. My experience with the Be Strong blood flow restriction system is proof to me, and now I'm asking myself why I waited so long. You'll see undeniable changes in the targeted muscles in days and weeks like nothing you've ever tried before. I will never stop using them. Give Be Strong a try. Go to bestrong.training/super-human and use code SHR for 10% off. Hey, this is Carl. For 14 years, you've heard me talk about Can-C eye drops, and they being the reason that I do not need reading glasses at now 61 years old. But I regularly get emails and messages from people who've been using Can-C and having some amazing results. Recently, I got an email from a fella named Chad, who, because he was on dexamethasone eye drops for over 6 months, developed a cataract. Can-C eye drops actually reduced my cataract to the point where even my doctor has a hard time finding it. I will never stop using Can-C eye drops twice a day. I've been using them since 2008, he says. And you should be too. There is no better way to keep your eyes healthy and seeing clearly than Can-C eye drops. Go to wisechoicemedicine.com today and get on board, and we will both be looking into the future with very clear vision.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
I think our world is in trouble because we don't have enough people who are critical thinkers any longer. And so I'm a huge fan of critical thinking, and I have a lot of respect for other people who are critical thinkers. It's not something I only have. It's hopefully more and more people will develop it. But critical thinking takes exercise. It takes using your brain in different ways than most people do today. So I want to talk to you about weightlifting. I received an email from a fellow that I'm going to help out. He said that his wife refuses to lift weights. She's got osteoporosis, osteopenia. And could I send him some studies that show that weightlifting improves those conditions in women? And I can. I'll take the time to find it. I mean, he could go to Google Scholar or PubMed and find them. But it's easier to ask me, I guess, and I'll help him out. That's not a problem. And it made me start thinking about weightlifting in general. And then this morning, I wake up with my normal aches and pains that I live with. I'm 62 years old now. I've used my body in ways that most people don't or haven't. And I thought about it. So there are some days where I literally muscle through the day. We all know this term, right? You're handling a weight that's way heavier than you feel like you can, but you muscle through it. You handle the weight, you force the weight to do what you want it to do. It's strenuous, It's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's painful. You know, if you're squatting and you've got a bar, what's the bar? 1.5 inches, and you've got significant weight on it, 4, 5, 8, 5, 6, 700 pounds on it. It feels like a cheese cutter on your traps. And usually you get a callus. I did. I had a callus in that one spot of my trap where my traps and my shoulders kind of met together. And weightlifting requires that you embrace pain. I don't mean bad pain, right? I'm not saying, hey, break my leg. Oh, I love that. But there's a certain requirement if you're going to lift weights. And I mean really lift weights, not like the people who go to the gym and they push the same weight around for 20 years. But if you're a person who understands the value of progressive overload, then you're always challenging your body to do more reps, more weight, new movements. New movements are uncomfortable. I remember the first time I deadlifted. It was so friggin' uncomfortable. If you would have told me that day that Jeff Rui taught me how to deadlift, that I would fall in love with that movement, I'd say, you're friggin' crazy. I scraped my shins up. It was awkward. Grabbing the bar because I have long femurs, I have long legs, getting down in that position where I was actually sitting back on my heels and pulling that weight up. The first time I did it, I thought, oh man, I'm never going to get this. It ended up being my strongest move or movement. So being a weightlifter requires you to actually embrace pain, or let's say if we don't want to use the word pain because that could be misconstrued, because I'm not a big fan of no pain, no gain, but discomfort. Aging is the accumulation of multiple discomforts. It's actually the term for it. It's called allostasis. Allostasis is the process of the body and how it responds to stress in order to regain homeostasis. So when you age and you start having aches and pains, they could keep you home. But if you have the capacity to handle a large allostatic load, they won't keep you home. They'll allow you to go out and do what you have to do. And the older you get, the greater the allostatic load, because whether you're injuring yourself in the gym with regularity, or you've had injuries that they start to creep up and nag you, or your body just doesn't want to work the way it used to, which get ready for it, folks. I thought I was going to be the one guy that was never going to happen to, because I was going to train hard for the rest of my life. I was going to use peptides. I knew all the biohacks way before these other guys were talking about biohacks. I was doing all those things. And granted, they've gotten me here. My sister was already crippled at 62, and we share the same problem that she had. And it wasn't Parkinson's disease. She was misdiagnosed. But I digress. Your body starts to act in ways that you don't feel comfortable. Movement, just moving reminds you that, oh my God, like my body doesn't want to do the things I want it to do anymore. And that requires you to muscle through the day, muscle through your life. Now, if you've never lifted weights and you've never embraced discomfort in order to achieve a goal, then you're probably going to be sidetracked by aging. You know, there's an old saying, you've heard it, right? Aging isn't for pussies. Guess what? It's friggin' true. Because people who age and feel uncomfortable in their bodies, they don't want to move anymore. They don't want to be reminded that they're not where they used to be. So they sit more because they feel normal sitting. Sitting is easy. But doing life, actually doing life day in and day out as you age, requires the management of the allostatic load that you've accumulated to that point in time. And so weightlifting teaches you to be cool with that. It's okay. Momentary pain, discomfort, it's all okay with those of us who have put our bodies to the test. You will age better, I promise you, if you are a weightlifter, if you are a progressive overload fan or even junkie, because there will come times where your body hurts and it doesn't want to do what you want it to do, and you'll be able to muscle the fuck through it. And that means that every day you'll get up willing to move forward in life and do life and live, as opposed to locking yourself into a house, not communicating with your friends anymore, just sitting there because you don't want to be reminded that you're aging. So this is an unintended value in the lifestyles that we lead, that I'll be long gone, and some of you younger folks out there will go, wow, it's true. I have friends my age, they don't do anything anymore. Meanwhile, I'm going out and doing things, and I have the same aches and pains that they do. But you just don't let it get you down. You muscle through. Look at me. I'm 62 years old. I just took up riding a motorcycle again. I have friends that are my age that would never think of doing that. Now, granted, I rode when I was a young man, but it's been 40 years since I've ridden a motorcycle. It's pretty ballsy of me to think, okay, I'm going to get on a, 120 horsepower motorcycle that's 800 pounds and change. And well, I muscle through it. I have to, I'm willing to do it. Again, this all comes from the physical culture lifestyle. So it's not just the intrinsic value of your muscles staying nice and full and strong, your bones staying nice and strong that you're doing for yourself, but it's the mental capacity and mental ability to deal with the allostatic load of aging. With every year, there comes new challenges for your body to muscle through so you can live life and do the things you want to do. And nothing in the world prepares you for that like weightlifting. So next time you're sitting with your friends and they're talking about their aches and pains, you don't have to say anything. You know in your head, they won't do the things you do that are going to keep you in fluid motion throughout your life, even though you have all the same challenges that everybody else does, because you can muscle through it. That is Critical Thinking 101 today. I hope you enjoy it. Share the stories with other people. Today's Friday. I'm off the air tomorrow. We have great shows next week. We're finally going to be talking about YK11. YK11, some people call it a SARM. I think it's an anabolic steroid. And Victor Black, a guy who writes extensively on anabolic steroids and weightlifting and bodybuilding, is going to come on the show all the way from Asia. It's going to be midnight his time. He's going to be on Wednesday of next week. You're not going to want to miss this show because YK11 may be very, very misunderstood, and it could be dangerous to use, or it could be the next big thing. We're going to find out Wednesday. So join me then. And remember, muscle is metabolic currency. It's the truth. So get into the gym and make a deposit today. And we'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.